8 Evil Businessmans in History. Friends, the same story is rewritten in every corner of the world. When a person gets drunk on power and money, they build their empire, but the foundation of that empire is lies and deceit. Today we're going to learn about 8 people from history who looted the world in the name of business. These were people who crushed the dreams of ordinary folks to build palaces for themselves. This is a story of monopoly, of greed, and of collapse. These are history's 8 evil businessmen. Chapter 1. John D. Rockefeller, the Monopoly King, 1870s America. A boy from a poor family, John D. Rockefeller, steps into the new oil business. At just 24 years old, he buys a refinery and sets an example that for a person with a passion for control, no path is difficult. But Rockefeller wasn't just a businessman, he was a cunning strategist. In the Cleveland Massacre of 1872, he either bought or destroyed 22 out of 26 refineries in his city. He bribed railway companies to make transport expensive for his competitors and provide him with cheap transport. Slowly, 90% of America's oil came into his hands. There came a time when Rockefeller's monopoly shocked even America's political leaders. In 1911, the Supreme Court broke up his Standard Oil into 34 companies. Today's ExxonMobil, Chevron, all are remnants of that empire. When one man's control becomes bigger than the state, the outcome is always destruction. Chapter 2. Henry Ford, the dark side of a genius. Friends, the next name is the person who gave the world the automobile, Henry Ford. Even today, his Model T is a legend, and his $5-a-day salary changed the industrial world. But a dark story is hidden behind Ford's empire. He created the Ford Sociological Department, which would enter workers' homes to check if their personal lives followed Ford's rules or not. If someone drank alcohol or kept their house dirty, they would lose their job. Ford was not just an innovator, but also a dictator. His hatred for trade unions and spreading anti-Semitic propaganda through his newspaper are part of his legacy. A person's good inventions cannot hide their evil. Chapter 3. Charles Ponzi, the original scam artist. Behind every scam there's a real mastermind, and the mastermind of this scam was Charles Ponzi. In 1920, on the streets of Boston from a small office, Ponzi claimed 50% profit in just 45 days. People went crazy. Thousands invested their money. According to Ponzi's plan, he made money by selling international reply coupons. But the truth was that there were only 27,000 coupons in the whole world. And he needed 160 million coupons to run his scheme. He was just giving new investors money to the old ones. When the bubble burst, people's life savings vanished. And even today, every new fraud is recognized by his name. Ponzi scheme. If a deal seems too good to be true, then it's probably a lie. Chapter 4. Enron, the corporate lie 2001. One of America's most dazzling companies, Enron. Fortune magazine called it the most innovative company for 6 years. Kenneth Lay and Jeffrey Skilling became corporate superstars. But behind this shine was just the magic of numbers, and fake numbers at that. Debts were being hidden by creating fake companies like Raptor. Auditor Arthur Andersen was also in on it. One day, this magic of numbers ended, and $74 billion in market value vanished. 20,000 people jobless, retirements ruined. Numbers never lie, but dishonest people certainly make up numbers. Chapter 5. Richard Fooled, the Lehman Collapse. The next villain is the poster boy of the 2008 crisis, Richard Fooled, CEO of Lehman Brothers. He poured billions into risky subprime mortgages. He ignored every economist's warning. When the bubble burst, Lehman Brothers, a 158-year-old bank, collapsed overnight. A $46 billion empire gone. Fooled made a fortune of $500 million for himself, but the world went into recession. People were kicked out of their homes, and so he is remembered as the Gorilla of Wall Street. Chapter 6. Elizabeth Holmes, the Silicon Valley Fraud. There was a time when Elizabeth Holmes was called the female Steve Jobs of Silicon Valley. Theranos's promise, thousands of tests from one drop of blood, $9 billion valuation. But the truth? The technology never worked. The tests turned out to be inaccurate and dangerous. Yet, she kept fooling the world with her black turtleneck and her voice. In the end, her empire fell, and she was convicted. Branding and charisma can never replace the truth. Chapter 7. Adam Neumann, the false visionary. Adam Neumann, the founder of WeWork. He sold investors a global spiritual revolution. SoftBank invested billions. Reality? WeWork was just a rental business that was hyped up and inflated to $47 billion. In 2019, when the IPO documents were exposed, everyone understood that the business was a bubble. Neumann trademarked his own name and sold it to his own company, took out personal loans, and then walked away with hundreds of millions. The company's value plummeted to just $8 billion. Not every flashy visionary is actually a visionary. Sometimes they're just a salesman. Chapter 8. Bernie Madoff, the evil billionaire. The biggest villain, Bernie Madoff, a highly respected name on Wall Street, who was actually running history's biggest Ponzi scheme, a $65 billion fraud. Charities, celebrities, even Nobel laureates, everyone fell into his trap. Everyone thought they were making safe investments. In reality, they were seeing their money again. The 2008 crash exposed the deception. Thousands of people became jobless and families were ruined. Madoff went to jail and died there in 2021. No matter how long a lie runs, the truth always breaks it. From Rockefeller's monopoly to Madoff's deception, these 8 stories had one outcome: ruin. These were the people who sold humanity's trust and lost everything behind greed. History will always remember them, but not as heroes, as a warning. In your opinion, who was the biggest evil businessman among these? Friends, which story shocked you the most? And are such evil businesses still lurking around us today? Do share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.